Welcome back, everybody. Round 2 at Card Art Standard Thursday is underway. I'm still Tom, he's still Akira, and we're still recovering from the last round that went fully to time.
That was a grueling match to watch, but it was really fun, really cool match.
Yeah.
So Jimmy is playing basically Dimir mid-range with the Unholy Annex Archfiend Dross combo. This deck was actually quite popular before I believe before whoever said that Floodpit Drowner came out.
Oh, Duskmorn.
Yeah. So before Duskmorn, at the start of Duskmorn, actually, this deck was quite popular because the package of Archfiend of the Dross and Unholy Annex was super powerful. And then people figure out that you can there's this card called Floodpit Drowner. Yeah, you can just keep tapping down this demon, and eventually the demon just kills itself.
Yep.
So it kind of fell out of the favor, but with the reduction of the amount of the amount of fluffy drowners are running around, Jimmy's bringing it back.
Yeah, well, Jimmy and Brandon just had a series of events happening here. Brandon is playing a Prowess-style deck that is looking to revive Monastery Mentor and Phyrexian Dragon Engine, but right now what wound up happening, it looks like, is Brandon's pinging himself with that Battlefield Forge. We wound up seeing just a quick discard spell coming out from Jimmy's side, hitting away the Monument to Endurance, which is a nice little discard synergy in Brandon's deck, but then there is a flurry of spells, including trying to plot away a card, having a Fairy Mastermind hit the battlefield, and then wind up having a Burst Lightning answer said Fairy Mastermind, and now we're having another card hit the battlefield.
So plotting away Highway Robbery here and respond with a flashing in Fairy Mastermind. This Fairy Mastermind kind of make Brandon's deck a little bit awkward because the whole game plan of this Boros Mentor deck is to just loot through your deck. You play a ton of these cathartic reunion kind of effects where you discard a card, you draw 2 cards, and this Fairy Mastermind just say, "Oh, you're drawing a card? Let me draw a card."
We're drawing a card, comrade. It's a very similar style to what the Jeskai Oculus decks were doing, only you're playing Monastery Mentor and you're cutting the blue instead of playing the Oculus cards, and some of them had the bounce package, some of them had just straight up Oculus with Inti and stuff and FOMO, and some of them had Phyrexian Dragon Engine in it at the Pro Tour. Brandon saw the Boros parts of that, added in the red draw discard synergies, and is trying to do something very similar with that style of deck. We had Jimmy, though, putting down that namesake demon card here, an Unholy Annex. That's going to draw him a card and lose 2 life, since there are no demons on the battlefield quite yet. But Brandon's going to wind up having tons of removal spells and tons of just everything happening here, as it looks like that he's just going to remove away that Fairy Mastermind and then continue to just draw cards off of all of these 1-mana cantrip spells.
Yeah, so just trying to dig through to find one of his payoff, basically for looting through his deck. Something like the Mentor that you mentioned, which is a way to just turn all these cantrips and these looting spell into more creatures, or Monument of Endurance is a way to both kill your opponent and drawing extra cards.
Yeah, so we had Might of the Meek, which draws a card, gives +1/+0 to a mouse, and trample, crash through, draw a card, your creatures gain trample till end of turn. And there's that namesake Monument card coming out here for Brandon's side.
And this is a super powerful card. So whenever you discard a card, you get to choose one of 3 effects and you can only choose each effect once. You can either draw a card, you can make a treasure, or you can have your opponent lose 3 life. So just lightning bolt your opponent.
Yep. So Monument to Endurance is going to resolve, even though Jimmy just played a land and passed the turn last time around. No sort of interaction for that Monument available. No Spell Pierces, no Spell Stutters, nothing like that coming out from Jimmy's deck. And same thing is going to happen, just passing the turn with 5 mana available, not unlocking the Ritual Chamber side of that to turn the Demon on, and instead just keeping mana available to try to deal with what Brandon's going to do this turn.
So Brandon might be able to have a pretty explosive turn here with this Monument of Endurance. So, just plotting the Highway Robbery. Just setting up for another turn.
the highway robbery being plotted is a nice thing because, like you said, that is going to be something we saw. Like these style of decks be more of like an aggro shell when we wind up having Slickshot Show Off as like the all-star of the format. Highway robbery is one of those like borderline cards that some of the lists were playing, some of them weren't, just because it was 2 mana instead of 1 mana. Like some of the other spells that you were having, like Demonic Ruckus, I think was the aura that was going to be coming down.
People were plotting Demonic Ruckus for 1 mana and then casting it on Select Shot Show Off.
Yeah.
It was pretty gross. It was pretty good.
All right, so just another draw land go coming out from Jimmy, playing the control style deck without playing any of the control style cards. And here is one of the namesake cards of Brandon's deck, Monastery Mentor.
So Brandon can have a pretty explosive turn here. So casting the highway robbery that have been plotted for free, trigger the Monastery Mentor. So gonna wind up getting a 1/1 monk token. See if Jimmy's want to respond with anything. There's a Tachana Timebinder in hand. That's in the main deck.
Yeah, so Tidebinder on the trigger would be pretty important. Being able to prevent that Monastery Mentor from continuing to pop off this turn is pretty good. Removal spell, Tidebinder, any of those do it here. And Anoint with Affliction. This is another spell that we haven't seen for a hot minute here.
Yeah, so with the decrease, with the decrease of like mid-range deck and the increase of permanent base removal, especially nowhere to run, Anointing with Affliction kind of fell out of the format a little bit, but Jimmy, bring it back.
We did have a response of a Burst Lightning here from Brandon, trying to really salvage getting a token here. So Jimmy's going to let that resolve. Hits
Burst
Jimmy
Lightning,
in the face.
No, I believe that's Burst Lightning on the Monastery Mentor. Oh, no, in the face. Oh yeah, because you can't kill Monastery Mentor. It's Prowess trigger.
It would have Prowess trigger, yeah. So we're going to wind up having Monastery Mentor get exiled off of the Anoint with Affliction. However, that does leave behind a Mug token. Jimmy deciding not to pull the trigger on the Tishana's Tidebinder. And we are going to have the Highway Robbery get plotted. That's going to discard a Phyrexian Dragon Engine. That's a scary one to have in the graveyard. And because of the discard, we're going to trigger our Monument to Endurance. And we'll see what Brandon wants to do off of that.
I'll make a treasure.
Make a treasure token. And then Tishana the trigger that make treasure. And this is important as well. Tishana Tidebinder turn off the Monument of Endurance here. Because when Tishana Tidebinder counters a trigger ability or an activated ability of a creature, artifact, or planeswalker, it just removes the ability.
Yeah, so Tishana not wanting to go after the Mentor, instead goes after the more important card from Jimmy's eyes, which is the Monument, which, to be fair, you're a blue-black deck.
You can't really answer.
Yeah, you have such a hard time dealing with artifacts in this style of deck, especially in game number 1 if they're not on the stack. So Brandon showing us that the Monument is locked down with that Tishana's Tidebinder. This Tidebinder, though, probably isn't going to be doing any attacking or blocking anytime soon because that would be not great for having it die and then turning the Monument back on.
Yeah, you just leave this guy back. Just hold him. Make sure you protect him with your life. Because if you don't, this Monument will pretty much kill you. Oh.
We had a Sanctuary. All right, we're swinging in.
We're attacking.
Oh, both? Okay, I'll take 6.
Oh, we're... Oh, I guess we don't expect Brandon just double block this Tidebinder.
Yeah, it's a 3/2, right? So... Double blocking. I guess it leaves you with nothing on the battlefield. It turns your Monument back on. But maybe you're trying to just get a large turn. Oh, there's a Torch the Tower in hand, too. So Brandon can torch the Tishana's Tidebinder and then wind up going off from there. But since we did activate the Sanctuary here, that is going to wind up giving Jimmy a Demon. So that's going to drain Brandon on top of drawing a card. There's some counter magic mana available. But Brandon, if he can remove that Tishana's Tidebinder, unlock the Monument, and pop off with a big turn here, it might be enough for lethal.
So there's a couple of helping hand in hand here. So the cool thing Brandon can do here is cast Helping Hand. Oh,
we have everything.
We have everything.
We can Burst Lightning this. We can pump up with Prowess. We can then wind up torch the Towering away the Sanctuary, and
we can Helping Hand back this Phyrexian Dragon Engine and then start going off with the discard and draw. Phyrexian Dragon in. So when Phyrexian Dragon Engine enters from the graveyard, You can discard your hand, and if you do, draw 3.
We're probably going to wind up seeing Brandon respond to this trigger as well with that torch to the tower to just clear out the vigilance blocker.
We do need a little bit more damage because torch the tower wouldn't do it. Tashana, the trigger.
On the dragon engine.
So that is just a vanilla 2/2. No more, no longer have double strike.
And most importantly, it's going to do nothing for this monument. So, oof. That puts a big old damper on Brandon's plans. We can still get rid of the Tidebinder, but the thing is the Tidebinder is not going to... Like, it doesn't make us win the game this turn.
Yeah.
And then we are potentially just dead on the crackback.
I think we kind of price into attacking with our Monk's token and then bargaining one of them away to kill the Soul Stone.
Yeah, because there's also a Restless Reef on the side of Jimmy's field and the mana to activate it. So if we are able to, if we don't kill the Sanctuary, that's 7 damage from the lands. We have to keep one monk back to block. And then we also have to worry about this Unholy Annex if we don't remove the 3/3 instead. So if we kill the Tishana's Tidebinder, we maybe take 3 and then take 2 off of this.
Well, there's a cool line
Annex.
here. I think Brandon have another helping hand in hand. So what you can do is you can bargain this Phyrexian Dragon Engine away. Kills the Soul Stone. And then helping hand it back again.
No, yeah, because it's an artifact enchantment
Yeah.
for token. So let's
I
see
think
if
that's what
Brandon does
Brandon
that.
is doing right here. So what after the Time Binder?
Well, yeah, because the Tidebinder shut off the Dragon Engine.
No, when you bargain it away and you reanimate it again, so it's a new Dragon Engine.
All right, well, we're going to wind up doing this. We pump the monks up to 4.
Discard my hand, draw 3.
We only got 1 discard trigger off of this, though.
I still think we should have killed the Soul Stone over the Tie Binder.
Choose to make a treasure.
So that's 8. We can do 3 damage to Jimmy with the souls.
If we deal 3, Jimmy's dead, right? Because this
That's
is 10
8 plus
damage from the
3.
monks.
No, 8 plus 3 is 11.
I have a treasure.
Oh,
But
no,
it's
it's 10.
the monks are 1/1s, right?
Treasure.
Oh, he's just dead. Wait, Jimmy's just dead.
Discard it. Make 3 life, kill you.
Oh,
Yeah, drain 3 life, kill you. All right, Brandon's got it. He made the treasure token. He did the extra spell, and yeah, that was the pop-off turn through double Tishana Tidebinder.
yeah. So now I can see why he killed the Tashana Time Binder. He want to get the blocker out of the way because the Soul Stone was tapped. He just want to go for the kill instead of going like giving Jimmy an extra turn.
Didn't want to do for the stabilize. He wanted to do for the murder. All right.
He's just going for it, and it worked.
That's the power of like these spell slinger type decks. I mean, we talked about at the beginning when we were talking about Brandon's deck, it doesn't do the slick shot show off thing. Like we're used to seeing that on like turn 3 or 4, the slick shot show off and then like swinging in and either they have the removal spell or they die. But in Brandon's deck, this used that monument to endurance in order to buff up all of those little cantrippy type things and fighting over that Monastery Mentor a turn or so beforehand to ensure that we had those 2 tokens on the battlefield was crucial to setting up that turn of lethal.
Yeah, and great job to Brandon for finding the line that you can just bargain away the Phyrexian Dragon Engine to reanimate it again because it is an artifact. So there's a lot of like really cool small like synergy that really make this deck tick.
Yeah. Now, if you're on Jimmy's side, I'm assuming now that you've seen what Brandon's deck can do and how many spells are coming out of the deck, you are either bringing in something to deal with the stack or if you have anything to deal with the graveyard at all.
There's not a lot of great like answers coming out of the sideboard for Jimmy. I think the thing that I would have boarded in was Tashana Tidebinder, and we saw that in the main deck.
Yeah, that's true.
So, in terms of graveyard hate, Ghost Vacuum maybe, or maybe Lord Skitter if he's on something like that. But it just really, but like that's only hit the small helping hand part of the deck. It does get rid of Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Does help get rid of any Monastery Mentor that Brandon ended up putting into the graveyard. But the spell slinging part and honestly, Monument is one of the most important card for Brandon. So we might see something like Negates coming in to like make sure that doesn't hit the board at all.
You know, it's another card. Speaking of the fact that we didn't see a ton of stuff coming out from Jimmy's deck, we saw some reactionary cards and everything. But we were talking about earlier how this Dimir Demons style of deck used to be popular, fell out of favor. Dimir Midrange came in. Now Dimir Midrange is completely gone, and the bounce decks are on the downturn because of the domain decks that are coming in. One of these good old grindy mid-range cards that when Brandon is sitting there and drawing 3 cards off of Phyrexian Dragon Engine.
Let me guess.
Yeah, all right, go ahead, guess.
Something start with an S and end with an Oldred?
Yeah, a Shieldred the Apocalypse would be a pretty solid card against everything that Brandon's deck is trying to do here. It'll drain life off of all those card draws. It'll buffer Jimmy's life total as he's just able to naturally draw cards, especially if a Fairy Mastermind hits the battlefield or stays on the battlefield. And it blocks everything that Brandon's going to be throwing at him.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the Shieldred, I think this is a great spot for it. From the look of it, Brandon doesn't really have a good way to kill a 5 toughness creature.
Yeah, I think out of the sideboard, maybe Brandon has a couple of things. Scorching Shot is like a slow sorcery style thing, but I'm also thinking like Brandon's deck, if he has any number of Witchstalker's Frenzies, they're probably coming in, but unless he knows Jimmy is playing like Archfiend of the Dross and stuff, because those don't kill Archfiend of the Dross.
Yeah, no. None of them kill Archfiend of the Dross. Is the most important thing. So maybe something like Perilous Vault or the new 3 mana Stone from Aether Drift, or maybe Shelter by Ghost. But I don't know if you play enough creature to make Shelter by Ghost work.
Now we'll have to see if Brandon's going to have any sort of response to what Jimmy's deck could potentially do. I mean, the thing is, too, is like you could just wind up having like Get Lost, right? Because you are a Boros deck. So Get Lost could wind up coming. You're not doing anything with like your turn overall to like, or like you, it sort of works with your Prowess plan, right? You're like using it as a removal spell to get rid of something. You could use it as like exercise as well. Maybe just having like something like that. Oh, one of the cards that I completely forgot about that Brandon was playing in a different style of deck earlier that he may put in here just because he likes the card is Perilous Snare.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
Yeah, the Oblivion Ringing. Yeah.
Yeah, so Perilous Snare. It's an Oblivion Ring that also pumped your creature one at a time. So.
Oh, all right, so we have to Get Lost.
Yeah,
okay.
we have to Get Lost.
So that's what Brandon decided to put in here. So Get Lost on the Fairy Mastermind that came in on turn 2 from Jimmy's side. And Jimmy now has 2 map tokens, but no creatures and no land on turn number 3. Oof.
Another Get Lost in hand. Something we haven't seen out of Brandon's deck is that I know he had is Artist Talent, which is a pretty incredible card for this kind of deck. And here it comes.
No, look at that. It's like you saw it in his hand or something.
I actually didn't.
No, well, okay. In that case, you're just a gosh. But this is going to be something that's extremely difficult for the Dimir deck to deal with. Any sort of enchantment or artifact, once it hits the battlefield, like good luck trying to get rid of it unless you have some sort of bounce effect from Jimmy's side.
Yeah, so Brandon's kind of, if you have a Monument in hand, kind of price into waiting. Because like you don't want to run into something like a Spell Pierce. But here come Monastery Mentor.
And just hard casting it, keeping 1 mana available. Maybe there's no real sort of like protection spells or stuff I could think of for one, like Lauren's Escape might be something that Brandon has.
Search and Salvation is a very real card in the format.
Is that a Shoot the Sheriff coming out?
That's a Shoot the Sheriff. The monk not quite a sheriff, but that would do the job.
It'd be very strange if a monk was considered an outlaw, just saying. I mean, warlocks are. That makes a little bit more sense, but it'd be really strange if a monk was an outlaw.
I mean, if you're a really bad monk, I guess.
Yes, so. I mean, Shoot the Sheriff is interesting, considering, I guess with like the downtick of other Dimir decks and stuff, you don't have a ton of like Fairy Masterminds and stuff running around, so you're not worried about the rogue type.
I mean, Kaido is still like a pretty well-played card, but and like Spyglass Siren is also like running around everywhere. So maybe
All right, we're just going to get the Unholy Annex coming out, draining Jimmy for 2, but doing its best Phyrexian Arena impression, trying to find some more lands as Jimmy once again passes without making a land drop, and Monument is going to be dropped here from Brandon's
just
side.
take advantage of Jimmy tapping out, resolving a Monument, and now, well, Blue-Black can really answer permanents, like, in play. Like, can't really answer enchantments and artifacts in play. So here's the Duress.
Oh, that would have been good last turn.
Yeah, but if you didn't have to tap down for that that Unholy Annex.
All right, so this is the stuff to deal with spells coming out from Jimmy's side. We have this Duress. Good art, too. Non-biased.
Trigger.
All right,
My
the
favorite one.
Highway Robbery is going to be the target here. We see Burst Lightning. We saw Get Lost. There's a Torch to the tower. So Jimmy might not have creatures in hand.
I'll draw a card.
I would have prefer going after that Get Lost because you want to keep your Unholy Annex in play.
Jimmy has a Tidebinder for this Monument trigger. Sorry to interrupt, but just a handful of interaction in addition after that.
So counter the Monument trigger, but then getting Torch to Tower anyways. So
I haven't.
I think they're looking for
discarded
map
yet.
token.
Let's discard this. Draw a card. Make a treasure.
Oh, discard Burst Lightning, make a treasure.
Yeah, because we have artists. Every single one of these spells that Brandon casts is going to trigger that artist talent, which will draw discard. And then, so that's going to trigger the Monument. And since that one is happening after the Tishan has been removed, we're going to wind up having the draw discard effect. The draw discard effect trigger the Monument. Now, Brandon, the only 2 cards in hand. That's the one thing with artist talent, even in formats like Pioneer at Phoenix. If you don't have a lot of cards in hand to start, you're not really going to get a lot of cards in hand by casting things.
I mean, the Monument gonna start refunding us cards here once we start casting spells. I think I would be pricing to Get Lost this Unholy Annex. We have a land in hand, so that's a pretty free discard here. It just which effect of Monument we're gonna choose. Most likely draw a card.
I'm thinking draw a card. We're going to give Jimmy 2 more maps. That doesn't really matter. But I think maybe Brandon is thinking, do I want to level up my artist talent at end of turn?
Can only level up a sorcery speed, but you could level up and then cast the Get Lost for 1 mana.
Yeah. I guess like you're thinking like, okay, if I wind up making a treasure token and I draw a reanimation spell, do I want to do that and reanimate my Monastery Mentor over leveling up my artist talent or something? But there is another treasure token there, so there is still 4 mana available, so we do everything.
I think this is another Mentor.
Oh, it's a recommission.
Oh, recommission the Phyrexian Dragon Engine?
I think we're just
Is that
hitting
one
the...
right?
No, just Monastery Mentor.
Yeah, I'll recommission
That looked like a
Monastery
Phyrexian Dragon Engine to me.
Oh, like right underneath the Get Lost. There is a Dragon Engine there, but I'm assuming that Brandon doesn't want to discard whatever's in
Oh,
hand.
we have a helping hand.
Oh, he's got
We
both.
did everything.
I'll draw 3 cards.
So this is gonna be a crazy turn from Brandon here. Doesn't get to trigger the Monument because you didn't discard anything,
And this will
but
make
getting a refund on 3 cards to go off next turn.
That's true.
Maybe this turn he got a treasure token.
Oh no, I didn't trigger my Monument. Instead, I just paid 1 mana to draw 3 cards. Literally, ancestral recall.
Yeah, just good old ancestral recall in standard, everyone.
But that's another huge explosive turn from Brandon's deck.
This deck is so sweet. I'm loving what Brandon's doing here.
So Jimmy does have a handful of answers. I think there's a cut down. There was another Duress that was in hand, and then I think there's maybe an Edict that I saw, either an Edict or with Affliction. So Jimmy has answers for everything that Brandon has presented, but the big thing, like you mentioned, is being able to restock your hand after a turn like that makes the Dimir deck immediately on the back foot.
Yeah, I think you just try to kill everything you can. So because of the +1/+1 counter from recommission, you can't cut down the Mentor. So cut down the Dragon Engine and then edict away the Mentor here.
Yep. All right, so now there's just a token on Brandon's side of the battlefield, but he drew 3 cards, drawing a card for turn, going up to 4, and there's an artist talent that will be able to potentially help dig for even more things.
Second artist talent trigger.
Never mind, there's
Another
2
one.
artist talents.
Trigger the first one. Draw from Monument.
1 Prowess
This is looking pretty good.
That's one Prowess trigger.
All right, can we get 15 spells in a turn? I know we can't, but
Another Mentor. Just hard casting this one. And coming in for 2 damage.
all right. So Jimmy goes down to 14, draws a card for turn. Does Jimmy have more answers for what creatures Brandon is presenting? That is the big question. Obviously, this artist talent can wind up being leveled up at some point to make non-creature spells cost 1 less, and then yet again to make it so if sources would deal non-combat damage, it would deal 2 additional. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with the monument because that is loss of life. I thought it was a sweet interaction until Brandon read me the card.
Yeah, but you know, Brandon play like Burst Lightning and making your Burst Lightning into 1 mana 4 damage is still pretty good.
Yeah, or you know, kicking it and then making it 5 mana 6 damage.
Sometimes I just kill your opponent. That's
Yeah.
2 lightning bolt right there.
That's 2 lightning bolts for the price of 5. Brandon takes a look at the graveyard here, potentially looking to see if there's another helping hand turn to be had, but instead just going to be swinging him for 3. Jimmy going to take it. No pump effects coming in by casting instants during combat.
I think Brandon is trying to see if Jimmy's want to animate any of these creature lands and see if he can
They
get a
just make
sneaky
stuff
block
cost
there.
1 less. I'll pass turn.
Brandon just passing. So yeah, there we go. Animating the Sunstone Sanctuary.
So still on the end step, I think we're gonna bargain away the treasure token.
Or
Probably.
bargain the
Oh,
token.
bargain the monk token. Interesting. So
So I
get
still
a
have some draw
replacement.
triggers
You
first.
still get the
I'll
replacement
discard
one. Get 2 artist
trade,
talent trigger.
draw a card, draw another card.
So trigger monument, draw a card, and then we resolve the second artist talent trigger.
Discard
No
this,
trigger
roll these
monument
3 life.
again, getting us 1 more trigger. That's 3 damage to Jimmy.
Exile.
That kills us all.
Monk.
This is Engines Online. Oh yeah, and it makes a new monk token. So bargaining away the monk token makes sense. It replaces itself. And this still leaves us with 5 mana available, so Brandon can do any number of things on Jimmy's turn, like a burst lightning kicked or something to the face. Oh, look! We saw a demon!
We found a demon.
Archfiend of the Dross. Haven't seen this one in a hot minute.
Yeah, it kind of exit the format because people way of removal is just tapping down your creature for like 5 turns, and that's not great when your creature just kills you when it tapped down for 5 turns.
All right, so Jimmy's turn was demon and then
Discard helping hand.
map on top of it. So we have a 7/7 demon.
Discard land. Draw
So we're doing a lot of artist talent thing on the end step here.
3.
So
My turn.
shoot Jimmy for 3 and 2 more. So
Oh,
burst
and there's the
lightning
kick
for
burst
Lisa.
lightning. So that's just gonna be it. That's gonna be Brandon taking the game. It's gonna wind up being a 2-0 for the Boros Mentor deck, cutting down the Demons deck where it tried to stand.